Hello, everybody. I'm Lin Xin. I'm a professor of biological sciences at the University of California at Irvine. I'm the director of the Laboratory for Mind-Body Signaling and Energy Research, member of the Susan Samueli Integrative Health Institute at our university, and I'm also a former member of the United States National Advisory Council on Complementary and Integrative Medicine. I'm very happy to give this talk here at the Second International Tai Chi Science Forum. And the title of my talk is Scientific Studies on Health Benefits of Tai Chi and Relationship to Traditional Chinese Medicine, mainly about research from my laboratory. As you all know, Tai Chi and Qigong is defined as mind-body exercise, mind-body practices that integrates the body, the mind, and the breath. So first, I'm going to talk about our research on regulation of the body, 调身. First, we use what is called electromyography, 肌电图, to study which muscles are used during different types of exercises. As you can see here, electrodes are put on different parts of the body, in this case, the leg muscles, okay? And we put these on the 6 muscles on the top and the side of the upper and lower legs. And when these muscles contract during an exercise, we could see a signal like that, every time they're contracted, and we could measure the magnitude of these signals. And what we found is that when you walk, naturally walking or even running, the level of exercise to these 6 muscles are at this level. In contrast, during Tai Chi exercises, these muscles are used a lot more than regular walking, whether you're moving forward, backwards, sideways, and so forth. What's important here is that there are 2 muscles that are used particularly, more than walking during Tai Chi exercises. And these are the so-called hip flexors on the side of the muscles here, and so-called quadriceps at the top of these muscles here. These muscles act as the stabilizers and the brakes of a person, so that if you're about to fall, the stronger these muscles, the more you can keep your body from falling. So this is very important in terms of fall prevention, which is the #1 cause of death in the elderly. Of course, Tai Chi is more than just exercising the legs. Here, we look at exercises, 20-some different Tai Chi, Qigong exercises, and look at how different muscles, the deltoids on the shoulder, on the chest, on the back, lower back, upper back, and so forth. And in red, it shows that during these exercises, there's excellent level of exercise in these movements. And in orange, very good. And yellow, still pretty good, fair. And you can see that for all these Tai Chi exercises, these muscle groups are used a lot. In other words, Tai Chi is a very good exercise for many different muscles, all the major muscles of the body. Here we can see, we want to talk about how Tai Chi and Qigong exercises stretches different parts of the body. Stretching can prevent or relieve pain and inflammation. An estimated 80% of Americans have some form of back pain during their lives, and the American College of Physicians recommends Tai Chi for treatment of back pain. It's published in 2017. And the mechanisms at the cellular molecular level is well understood from studies done at Harvard Medical School. When a person stretches, you stretch the connective tissues. See, you stretch this way, there's a deformation of the connective tissue, and there are cells bound to these matrix proteins, and the cells get stretched as well, and they secrete a chemical called ATP, and the ATP binds to receptors, and that will initiate a chain of reaction leading to pain relief and relief of inflammation. So this is quite well understood. In our laboratory, we use computers to analyze different movements of Tai Chi and Qigong. We can measure the angle of the body, of the limbs, the height, from the ground and so forth. And then we use two different methods to study how Tai Chi and Qigong exercises could benefit the body in terms of exercising different muscle groups and also increasing blood flow as measured by laser Doppler flowmetry. So here we see how 6 different exercises, okay, and the subjects that we measure, we put electromyography, EMG, electrodes on the lower back or the upper back, and we use laser Doppler probe, on different parts of the body to measure blood flow at those points. And you can see with these different exercises, there's an elevation of, in blue, muscle contraction, and in red, increased blood flow. So this is from 五行气, 5 animals frolicking, bear, the deer, and the tiger. Okay, they all do a good job in exercising the muscles of the lower back as measured here and increasing blood flow, as you can see at the lower back. And Tai Chi exercises, twisted body fist stance, 铁身捶, and through the back dodge. These exercises, as you can see here, are very good and enhancing blood flow and exercising the body, the muscles at the lower part of the body. And this would be a good way to prevent or treat lower back pain. Next, we want to talk about our work on regulation of the mind, 调心. We put electrodes, in this case, 128 electrodes on the head, and record brainwave patterns during meditative activities, okay, such as doing Qigong. At rest, we look at the so-called theta waves, alpha waves, and beta waves, and these 3 waves are, quite low. But during meditation or meditative state, there's a very big increase in theta waves, indicative of a person in deep relaxation state, and big increase in alpha waves, indicative of a person who's awake and alert. But also, there's of alpha waves, indicative of a person who's calm, and a big increase in beta waves, indicating the person is not falling asleep. The person is still awake and alert. So this is very unusual because if you fall asleep, there's an elevation of the theta waves and the alpha waves, but the beta waves will not be elevated. In other words, what this shows is that the meditative state is a dual state of relaxed concentration. The relaxation is also shown by analysis of the ECG or EKG, 心电图. What we found was that during the meditation state, there's an elevation of this high frequency peak in the heart rate variability pattern here. What does this show? Okay, this shows a person, doing 24 hours of monitoring with the ECG or EKG. Only during deep sleep do you find an elevation of this high frequency peak in the heart rate variability pattern. And this is what you see when a person goes into a meditative state. In other words, the meditative state is analogous to a person getting deep rest during deep sleep. Also, we measure oxygen consumption at the brain using a technique called photon migration spectroscopy, or so-called near-infrared spectroscopy. And we see that once we start the meditative state, the person's consumption of oxygen in the brain falls and falls like this. So indeed, the person is really resting and using up less energy, in the brain, as indicated by the drop in consumption of oxygen in the brain. So meditation, or so-called the moving meditation of Tai Chi and Qigong, could give a person deep rest and also relieve a person from stress. Stress, as you know, can inhibit the immune response. And in this study done at UCLA by our colleagues over there, it shows that a Tai Chi group has much higher immune response. This is measured as the level of antibodies to shingle virus, much higher than the control group that did not do the Tai Chi. Both groups were vaccinated with the shingles vaccine at this point. And you see the final level with Tai Chi and vaccination, or no Tai Chi and vaccination, it's much higher with the Tai Chi and vaccination. Next, our research on regulation of breathing. Slow, deep breathing, the pattern that we use in Tai Chi and Qigong. It is now known that there are different types of brain cells in the breathing pacemaker portion of the brain, like here. This is the brain, this is here. There are three different types of brain cells identified. One is associated with nervous sniffing. In other words, if a person is really stressed out and goes like like that, okay, that type of breathing is associated with this type of brain cells. If a person is really stressed out and goes into, oh my God, oh, why, oh, yeah, okay, that's associated with yet another type of brain cells in the breathing pacemaker. But there's a special type of brain cells here that's associated with slow, deep breathing, like when a person is doing Qigong or Tai Chi. What's special about these brain cells is that they are directly linked by nerves to a part of the brain called lucus coeruleus. And this is the part of the brain that deals with response to stress. In other words, if you breathe slowly and deeply, you can decrease the response to stress. So in our laboratory, we tested that by putting people under stress, by making them play a very stressful video game called the Slenderman game. And we see that once they start playing the game, their heart rate goes up, the blood pressure goes up in the indicating that they're under stress. And when we tell these people to breathe slowly and deeply, but continue to play the game, the heart rate would come back down and the blood pressure would come back down. This type of response is very similar to the use of acupressure on relaxation points on the body. Here, we, instead of asking a person to, breathe slowly and deeply, we put a measured amount of pressure on different acupuncture points. These are acupuncture points classified as relaxation points. And you can see that when they watch horror movies, okay, the heart rate would go up. But then when we push onto an acupuncture point, in this case, the so-called impression hall, yin tang, the heart rate would quickly come back down. And we push on a different point, then it will go back up. So this is very specific. You have to push on the right point. Blood pressure, same thing. And the heart rate variability, indicating stress, same thing. Finally, I want to talk about how the benefits of Tai Chi and Qigong are similar to those that you can get from traditional Chinese medical therapies. In TCM, the Yellow Emperor's Medical Classic stated that blood is the mother of qi, 血为qi之母. Oftentimes, Chinese doctors would say, oh, I'm going to give you some medicine or some treatment to move the qi, invigorate the blood, 行气活血, okay? In other words, in Chinese medicine, there is this principle that blood flow and energy flow are closely related. So in our laboratory, we measure blood flow doing a Tai Chi exercise. And you can see that blood flow measured by laser Doppler is elevated in peaks during the exercise. And when we measure energy in the form of electrical flow at acupuncture points, this is 7 different colors representing measurements at 7 different points. There's coordinated increase in this type of energy flow with the increase in blood flow. So close relationship between the increase in blood flow and energy flow during Tai Chi and Qigong exercises. What does this mean in terms of electrical flow? So in the laboratory, this is done with Professor Michael Yang at Hong Kong City University. We showed that when we have cells grown on a plate and when we pass an electrical current onto the solution that the cells are grown in, the cells would move in a particular direction, stimulated by an increase in DC electric field, which is created by the increased electrical flow, such as the flow that we measured at acupuncture points at the previous slide. How is this important? Well, one thing is during wound healing, if you cut yourself, okay, you cut yourself, and if you apply an electrical field onto this wound, the cells would close up the wound more quickly if you apply an electrical field. In other words, a higher level of electrical flow, creating a higher level of electrical field, would stimulate a quicker movement of cells closing up a wound, like cut by a knife. So finally, we look at the effect of different traditional Chinese medical therapies on blood flow, 行血活气, in whether it's acupuncture, massage therapy, cupping, 拔罐, 刮痧, okay, moxibustion, or the application of topical herbal medicine. You can see that in every case, there's a stimulation of blood flow that we could measure by laser Doppler. Every case. So it verifies the idea that medical therapies from Chinese medicine can actually stimulate blood flow very, very well. And this effect is even greater when nowadays we can modernize traditional Chinese therapies, such as passing electrical pulses onto acupuncture needles, so-called electro-acupuncture, or using laser beams instead of the needle, laser acupuncture, in terms of stimulating acupuncture points even without the needle, not just with a laser, but instead using electrical pulses, instead of just warming the body with a hot water bath, using infrared heat therapy, in this case, like the whole chamber, or even far infrared therapy, using rays that are beyond infrared, so you don't really heat up the body, but you can still stimulate different pathways in the body. All of these modernized therapies work very well in terms of increasing blood flow. So in other words, Tai Chi, Qigong, and many types of traditional Chinese medical therapies are very effective in increasing the flow of blood in the body. And of course, higher blood flow is associated with better health and healing. Okay, so this is the end of my talk. Thank you very much. And for further information, this is my email and website. Thank you very much.